All right, so we're live. Welcome back. This is the Hope for Women panel, and we have such an amazing, powerful, beautiful group of women with us. And I want to introduce Gabby Zakalski, who's gathered these women to just have this super heartfelt conversation. Thank you so much, Gabby. It's Take it away.
Thank you so much, Nathan. So first of all, I really want to thank Nathan and Eli for founding Hope. And it's something that is super close to my heart, especially Hope for Women. And when you asked me to lead this group, I couldn't think about more powerful, beautiful women. And if we are going to start a conversation, I think my favorite conversation is us women owning the goddess within and our journeys that was not linear at all into discovering and embodying the divine feminine within. So I have this beautiful group of women. Let me first introduce myself. So as Nathan said, my name is Gabi Zakalski. I'm an entrepreneur and I empower. Oh, thank you. I got into spotlight right now. So, and I empower women to bottle their magic so they can speak to more hearts and monetize the transformation that they bring to the world. And my main mission in life is to help, especially women, to shine their brightest, to own the spotlight, and be everything that they want to be in their own terms. And this is a perfect segue to the conversation that we're having today. So I have three amazing women here with us, and I'm going to introduce each one of you, and I'm going to ask each one of you to introduce yourselves. And our intention in this, with this conversation, with for all the women that are here with us, is not to, this is not a panel that we are going to, tell you what to do or coaching, or like, this is a panel that the main thing that I wanted is to be a conversation that we would have in our living room with women, pure sisterhood, a raw, vulnerable conversation. And I know for myself, my journey of owning the divine feminine has been challenging, beautiful, so many moving parts to it. So I wanted to bring women that I highly admire, that I love, goddesses that are owning, embodying the divine feminine in a way that is kind, it's beautiful, it's powerful, and they are going to share their journeys with all of us. So to start, I can start with Coco here, that she's by my side. Coralie is so, it's hard for me to really introduce them because there are no words to introduce these women. But Coco is definitely the person, the woman that I know that embodies more heart. She's pure heart. It's so divine how beautifully she embodies the feminine in a balanced and so powerful way, but through heart. And Coralie is magical. She sings, she heals people with singing. She is also my partner in a business, so she's an amazing entrepreneur. But more than that, she's a goddess. The beautiful embodiment of what a goddess is. So Coralie, is such an honor to have you here. Please introduce yourself to the girls so they know more about the magic that you are for the world.
Thank you so much, sister. Thank
Gabby, I'm sorry. Can you unmute yourself?
I didn't even know how you muted automatically, but perfect.
Thank you so much, sister, for that beautiful introduction. It's an honor to be here. It's an honor to be part of this beautiful conversation, to share, to be among those beautiful women. So yes, I was born in south of France and had a very corporate engineering MBA background until finding my soul again and becoming a vessel truly to whatever wanted to come through in service, to be singing, to be healing, energy healing, to be a spiritual teacher in a way, if we can put a name on it, and to found this company called Namo, which is bringing back ancient knowledge to raise consciousness on a bigger level, and it's a work with water and plants, and bring back really knowledge, ancient knowledge. So I'm very honored to be here. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much, Coralie. And now I want to introduce Paula. So Paula is my mentor, besides being a goddess. And to say what she is to me, she is the person that I tell my guides and everything that she can see anything. She can see my soul, like she has permission to see my whole being. That's how much I trust her. She, like Paula has a very magical and unique combination that she was able to bring so much ancient wisdom from different places and bring it together, so many complex and different things into her own methodology that she created that is life-changing. Paula changed my life in so many ways. I will be eternally grateful. And the magic that she brings to the world, the embodiment of the goddess that she is, in the most kind way, but so powerful. And she is definitely one of the most connected beings that I know. And Paula is spirit magic. And so Paula, thank you so much for being here. It's such an honor to have you here with us. So please introduce yourself and share with us a little bit about you.
Thank you, Gabby. That was so moving, and I'm so honored. And my name is Paula, and I was born in Brazil. I used to be a university professor. I became a full-time university professor when I was 31 years old. So I had no problem owning my divine masculine power, but my divine feminine was always hidden. It was always a private reality for me. And I decided after many nudges from the universe that as a woman, I needed to bring the divine feminine to the world. So I combined the forces of divine masculine and feminine with a method that I created called the Cardinal Method of Life Connection. And we work with earth medicine, especially crystals, and I'm developing the plant part and the power animals and the ascended masters, which are our ability to be divine beings as human beings. But for now, the Cardinal Method is in the world mostly known as a crystal system. It's a metaphysical scientific system, but that is designed to bring soul healing, consciousness expansion, and especially the joy of life to the world, which is our inner child in a healthy way, right? So I'm just very honored to be here and speaking to women. And if you're like me, you probably hide your divine feminine power as well. Power doesn't have to be associated just with masculine energy. There is divine feminine power too. So I believe that is what is my true calling. So thank you so much, beautiful ladies and men who are making this possible, and all the people who are watching. Thank you.
Paula, this is so beautiful. And what you said, like, it definitely was one of my biggest challenges of all, because I for a long time, for me, women were weak. I saw like the feminine as weak. So I wanted to be like for me, power was the hustling, the man, like let's, what we know as power. And I love what you said, like that we have been discovering that the feminine is actually, there is a beautiful, amazing power into the feminine. And we are going to talk a lot about that today. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Felicia, I feel that, there's no words. I keep like, even with the two of them, but Felicia was so beautiful how we met and how we connected right away. And Felicia is a woman that also a goddess. And, you know, like I feel that she has been owning her goddess self so much. And I see her goddess in so many more levels. And what I think was one of the most beautiful things about Felicia is how she, the power that she has to manifest things in life, and how beautifully she embodies what it is to be a mom, what it is to be successful in what she's doing, and what it is to be an amazing like wife. And at the same time, she leads so many projects. She is doing so many different things at the same time. And it's a beautiful way. It's so amazing to see how she has been embodying her divinity, and how beautifully she has been balancing all sides of what it means to be a woman. So Felicia, thank you so much for being here. Such an honor. And also please introduce yourself.
Thank you so much, Gabby. Just following everyone else, it's hard to follow that. Thank you for the kind words. But yeah, so hi, everyone. My name is Felicia Serrano. I like to call myself a recovering corpoholic because I, like Coco, I was in the corporate world. I was in that man world. I had the MBA. I wasn't allowed to paint my nail any colors or wear big fancy jewelry. I had to wear the skirts and the dresses. I had to be this lady role. And after 15 years in the financial services industry with this unfulfilling job I had enough, and I finally left. And everyone told me I was crazy to give up the paycheck and the benefits and the status, going against what my family wanted, what society wanted. But after I had my son, I wanted him to know that you don't have to do what everyone else is doing, that you can follow your own dream. And that's what I want for every woman, every child, every person, that you don't have to just do what everything is expected of you, because who writes these expectations? And that's what I want to put out to the world. So now I actually help people transition from a job that does not give them joy, so they can actually live a fulfilling life in all areas of their life.
No, Felicia, I love that. And also, I feel that one thing that you're bringing is that you don't need to choose one thing, right? You just, and I feel that for us women, sometimes is that we have to choose between being successful or having a beautiful family, or, you know, like that in some way there is like, because we are women, we have to choose. And I feel that this is a conversation that we're having, that we don't have to choose. We can fully embody all parts of us. And that's the most beautiful, amazing thing. And
yes,
it's perfect.
That's beautiful.
Don't say
yeah, I was gonna say, and that's a beautiful thing about being a woman. We wear multiple hats. We can do anything. We are so strong. We can do anything we put our minds to. We don't have to just focus on one thing. We can be the mom, the entrepreneur, the businesswoman, the wife. We can be single. We can do anything. We don't have to do what everyone else wants us to do. We can do everything that we want.
Yes, amen to that, definitely. And Val, so beautiful. So Val was having technical difficulties. So I love, Val, that you just arrived, and it's a perfect time because now I can introduce you. So Val is also a goddess and has been part of this journey of my own, like owning the goddess within. And one of the things that I love about Val is that she goes in like with no parachute, with like no armors, like whatever is there, she has been taking on this journey full on and with courage, and no matter what is there, she's taking it. So Val, if you want to quickly introduce yourself before I go into the questions, we would love to know more about you.
Yeah, sure. So hi, everyone. My name is Val, and I was an attorney for the longest time, and very masculine, competitive of that. And then I started realizing that I could actually be a powerful woman in the corporate world as well. And I started owning that and changing. And now I want to help people and coach them and help them discover that they can be powerful goddesses in whatever they choose to do.
I love that. And, you know, I love that in this space we already created, there's a lot of freedom. And this is something that I've been talking with Coralie how much we have been bowing in some sense to people, or we are not doing things on our own terms. And I feel that this is beautiful, because what is in this space here is actually the opposite, which is beautiful, which is the embodiment of I can be whoever I can be. We are reclaiming our voices, we're reclaiming our power, we're reclaiming everything that we can be, so we can be fully expressed. Like, there for too long, people have been putting us into boxes or how we should be. And I feel that now is such an important time in history that we are finally breaking free of all the labels, of all the things that we have to, and show the world what the feminine, what the divine feminine looks like. And it's not linear, it's messy, it's beautiful, it's intense, and we're owning all of it. And I can say with 100% certainty that the women in this call, they are fully embodying their divinity. We're not perfect at all, but definitely there is so much owning that environment. And all of you goddesses, you literally inspire me to be more of that myself. So thank you. So now I'm going to start asking some questions for each one of you. So the first question that I would like to ask is, although our journey to reclaiming the goddess within definitely is not linear, what was the turning point? And Paula, I'm going to start with you, so you can already be in that inquiry. So what was the turning point, the aha moment in your journey from leaving, doing what was expected of you in more the masculine way, to living a life that is aligned with following your true purpose, following your true feminine essence, and being unapologetically you? You're muted, Paula. Oh, I think Nathan is doing his magic. He's doing everything automatic.
So now can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So it's very vivid in my mind. I know exactly when that turning point happened, because maybe it's everyone's journey too, maybe not, but life will give you all the signs, right? It's what I call languages of consciousness. They're subtle signs and they're really hardcore signs if you don't listen. So they come in dreams, they come in, waking life, little signs, a song you hear, anything that will kind of nudge you. But sometimes we need the breakthrough. So I was an intellectual, and I had intended to be an intellectual my whole life, to be an academic in universities. So when my husband got a job offer to live in Florida, I said, that's great, because the US has the greatest libraries in the world for what I want to research, which is indigenous cultures. So I was on that track, that path of being an academic, doing what I loved. And this is something that I want to actually share with you. I always had a triple priority goal in my life. So my first ever was to work with what I loved, to find a significant other, a husband that was amazing, that I could share my life with, a partner, and to bring the joy of life to the world. So working with what I loved never really was an issue. I've always loved the study of human nature. That has always been my passion. I never had problems with that. Finding a wonderful husband and a significant other was, since this is a raw thing, I'm just going to say it was hell on earth. I had horrendous romantic relationships until I tapped into my truth and found my man when I was 33 years old. But I was married. I got divorced at 27. So I was very successful professionally, and I was extremely unhappy on a friendship level and on a romantic level. So the divine feminine was really wounded. And bringing the joy of life to the world was never really a problem either. So the divine feminine piece was always kind of the weak link in the story, right? Divine masculine, doing what you love. Divine feminine, beautiful relationships. Divine inner child, the joy of life. So my divine feminine was what needed to be worked on. So the tipping point, to answer your question, was he said, I have a job offer. And I said, let's do this. I am all about adventure. I have a lot of Sagittarius in my birth chart. Let's go to the international world. Let's dive into the libraries. But I've also always worked on myself privately with my spiritual life. I've always had energy healing sessions. I've always dedicated half of my time to study metaphysical studies since I was 14 years old. So when I got to Miami, 3 weeks later, there was this workshop for self-healing. And then I went for my self-care because I had a position at the University of Miami as a researcher. So I was going to be an academic in the US too. But when this woman, who is a goddess too, so embodies the divine feminine, and she has Coralie's energy, very much so. Her name is Mayna Campos. Maybe you guys know her. And she started talking about how energy worked and how you can direct energy and how your biology is actually animated by the soul with a very logical, scientific explanation, because there is spiritual science. There's not just materialistic science. The idea of science has been hijacked by materialism. So we need to kind of expand on that, because ancient cultures had spiritual science and still do, as long as you're willing to learn it, right? It's still here. And I'm sure that you guys on some level, especially Coralie, I know that she brings this to the world too. So when Mayna started talking, I heard what you can call the goddess's voice or God's voice, the creator's voice, the light of the higher origin of all life saying, and it was my higher self too, saying, I don't care what I was doing before. This is what I'm going to do from now on. And if I have to go back to the academic world when I'm 70 to learn about indigenous cultures in libraries, that's going to be from 70 on, because I was 35 at the time. At least for the next 35 years, I will be working with energy medicine. So that was my turning point.
Wow, Paula, that's so beautiful. Like, what a beautiful journey. And thank you for saying so many things that are, for me, are crucial and were so important in my journey. I think, one of the things that you said beautifully is the science of spirituality. And sometimes we think it's just like the other part, and you are the embodiment. If I feel like you, for me, is this like sage woman with so much wisdom that you bring it for all humans in a way that all us humans can understand, this goddess language. And so I love that you touch on that too, like how important it is for us to listen to, because the goddess has a voice. And that's so brilliantly said. And what a beautiful journey. So thank you so much. So now I'll ask Val, that she's in front of me. So it's the same question, Val. So what was the turning point for you from going through the more masculine and, the do, the hustler, to listening to that voice, owning that voice, and now embodying that goddess?
So for me, it actually started very progressively at the beginning. Where I was, I never thought anything was wrong. I was successful as an attorney, climbing up the ladder, doing everything the way that I thought was right, traveling, making money, and just kind of doing what everybody was expecting of me. And it's one day about 10 years ago that I was in a relationship that ended up devastating me when it ended, after knowing the person for only 3 months. And I was like, well, why am I reacting like this? This is crazy. And I started looking at my life and realizing, like, if I'm so affected by this one event that's only been in my life for such a short amount of time, it must mean that there's a lot of things in my life that are not working. And I started looking at my life a little bit more closely and trying to figure out, am I happy? And what does being happy actually mean to me? And I was successful based on somebody else's definition, but was that what success meant to me? Was I aligned with my values? Was I aligned with the things that were important to me? And I started, that opened up a very gentle and spiritual journey that took a lot of time. And I was integrating new things little by little, and it was very soft, very gentle. It took a long time. And then a few months ago, I realized that I had evolved a lot, but not fully. And for a couple of years, I had this nagging feeling inside where I was like, okay, yeah, I'm doing great at my work, but I'm miserable. I am miserable. And I started thinking, well, life is passing and it keeps going on and and I'm missing a lot of it. And I'm rushing into everything and I'm not taking the time to listen to myself, to figure out what I actually want. And little by little, I was getting more and more into the spiritual aspect of things. And then I had a moment where I read a book that talked about being more feminine. And it was at a point where I was having a massive acceleration in the spiritual journey. And I started realizing, like, that's when I realized I thought I was feminine because I dressed feminine and I could still be very girly. And then I started realizing, well, there's a lot of things that I never thought were masculine that really are, like being that competitive, always having to be on top, always having to be rational. And for years I had been trying to feel things and to get into my heart. And I was like, yeah, sure, I feel, but I didn't really. And it's when I started focusing on that and focusing on, what is my heart telling me? What is my gut telling me? How does that make me feel? And when I started doing that, that's when I started realizing that I was not happy in the job I was doing. I was not happy living somebody else's life, definition of success for my life. And that was my aha moment, was when I realized that I had blind spots and that I had been creating a persona that was based on what people expected of me and who I thought I had to show up as in life, instead of actually listening to who I was. And who I was, yes, I was smart, I was good in school, I was doing good at my job, I was rational, but who I was also someone who was extremely sensitive and who picked up on other people's energy. And I started realizing that that had actually helped me throughout my career, because I could tell, like, I related with clients very well because I was able to tune into some of their needs and I started listening to that more. And so the aha moment was really just becoming aware of the fact that there was a way that I could be in work and in life and with people that was more aligned with who I felt I was inside, instead of who I had thought for years I needed to be. And when that happened, a lot of things changed.
Wow, that's so beautiful. And I think so many of us can resonate with it, because I feel that even when I was a kid, there was a lot, and we share about that in the past, right? There was a lot of, like, we have to be a certain way. Don't show emotions, like people around me were like, don't cry, like, be strong. You need to be like, in some sense, don't be a girl, right? Like, whatever, like, definition of it, like, don't be sensitive. Oh, you're too sensitive, or at work. And then we, as you said, we start creating this persona that is strong, is powerful, is like, it like do, and not owning and feeling this other side of us. And I feel that's so beautiful when you start realizing, well, I thought that being a woman even was this, and then, but is it? And when you start asking yourself, well, maybe not, maybe they're like, I am sensitive, and that actually supports me at work, that makes me powerful. And one thing that you said in the other time that I thought it was brilliant is that we were playing with their tools instead of owning our own and our own power.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. I think that because the corporate world, in which women for a long time did not have to, women for a long time weren't working. And all of a sudden we claimed that power. We wanted to work and we started working, but we also started wanting to have the same jobs as men. What a lot of us, I think, and me in particular, like, what I hadn't realized at the time was that it's not because I was doing something that men were doing. It's not because I was evolving in an environment where other men were working, that I had to show up at the table using their strengths. Those are their strengths. They're not mine. They're not women's. And I think that the fact that we can be intuitive, we can, like, take into account client sensitivities and things like that as well, gives us a strength that men don't have. And that's something that like we need to start owning that. And if we're competing with men with their tools, which we're not familiar with, it's never going to feel right. And we're always going to feel like we're forcing something. And once we start reclaiming our tools and our strength and our weapons, and we start using those, we become a whole other level of powerful because we're competing on our terms and not on them. And then we get to show up in all of our strength, and we actually know what we're doing because it feels a lot more aligned, and it feels a lot more right, and it feels it's more natural. It becomes a lot more natural. And so I think it allows us to unlock a potential that we sometimes aren't even aware that we have.
So beautiful. And that is something that we have been discovering as women and reclaiming all parts to that. So Val, thank you so much. So beautiful. Now, Coralie, how was it for you? What was the time that transformed everything for you in this journey of owning the goddess within?
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Gabby. So actually, everything that you mentioned resonate very deeply with my journey as well. I'd love to go back to the little us, right? The inner child, and how we actually numb the feminine from very early on, from suppressing emotions, suppressing the feel. On my own journey, I was born in a very conservative French family, and I was doing everything to try to express. So I started to play the piano, I started to dance, and I was expressing my emotions this way, but in my family it was impossible. And little by little, becoming a scientist, becoming an engineer, going full on in this man's world, I realized that I started to not be connected to my cycles anymore. Even when I got my moon, what we call period, in this word, it was totally wrong. There was something really not honored. And then I started to take the birth control that I took for 15 years. That was really numbing my connection to my body. And along the journey, really disconnecting from my feminine side, right? To get to a place of being in a plane, sleeping in hotels, and every day waking up like everything being so superficial and so far away from the feel. So at one point I felt, yes, before that, I do want to add up something about what Paola mentioned about science and spirituality, which there is no separation. We created it. and going back quickly, studying science and rational science in such a hard way, the only glimpses of hope in the heart that I was having was quantum physics. It was that study of energy, and that everything is energy, and everything is their consciousness. So that was just something that I wanted to add on, because it's so important in the world of now that we finally gather those two that have been separated, that we made separated, right? But so to go from that engineer in the renewable energy industry to do actually solar projects all around the world, living in different countries, living in that plane, I was having one day in Miami per month to change my suitcase and to go back in the plane to eat the food of hotels. And my yoga teacher tells me, well, there is a yoga teacher training beginning. You should do it. Okay, I am going to arrive with my suitcase on the Saturday, and I'll go again with my suitcase on the Sunday. And that changed my life, because it got me the opportunity to feel again, that space to feel energy. What is your body feeling? How are your chakras spinning? And then that whole awareness of what is going on here, and to reconnect so deeply. And the true aha moment was, for me, doing a puja, so doing singing for Shiva and Krishna and Radha, and having literally my heart bursting open and feeling that light and that heart opening, and that was my true like beginning of a deeper awakening, to really begin then a journey back to the feel, back to the heart. It's as if my system said, okay, I've done enough of rational, I've done enough of mind. I don't want to think with my mind anymore. I want to drop from my mind to my heart, and for my mind to be the servant of my heart, and to start living from here only, and to start to feel, giving myself that opportunity, a week. So that was a week in Costa Rica, actually, with a beautiful retreat called One Heart, with plant medicine and yoga and mindfulness, where the first thing was the allowing myself to have a week to feel, a week away from the phone, from the computer, from any distraction that we create, that are so many in our current world. And when you give yourself that time and that space to truly feel the whole way, it's to do that is so transformative. Confirmation.
Too much power.
And that got me to be in a place of dancing again, of opening that voice again. And this is something that we women in this life is so crucial, because we've been closing our throat for so many centuries, for so many
thousands
again.
of years.
I think we're gonna go out of from Atlantis, like from 12,000 years ago. But giving yourself to feel, the opportunity to feel, is the beginning of that going back into the femininity so deeply, and singing and dancing and honoring our moon again. And my moon got aligned to the full moon right away, to that same hour of the full moon, and using a cup to be able to recall the blood, and doing an offering to the earth, and connecting to Pachamama and to Mother Earth in such a deeper way. So all of that journey, to back to the feel, and back to the grace, the beauty way.
Coco, it's like I love so much this whole conversation, because and I chose the women here, like literally. I love how differently and at the same time so similar our journeys has gone. And Coco, you can see it's totally hard, right? For me, my journey was very much mind first, even from owning the feminine, like all this spirituality was a lot from mind. And I went to Vipassana a week, which is very intense, and I was still in mind, right? So I feel that's so beautiful. So many things that you're saying, Coco. First, how we have been numbing ourselves, and also we as women with other women, even our moms, and they didn't know anything different, right? And like now we're the first generation that there's so much ancient wisdom being available to us, to so many of us, things that were hidden and secretive for so long. And I love that your way was such the beautiful way, the Mary Magdalene way of heart. And that's like you are pure heart. And the awakening of that part and the feeling, which, so We have another
We
lamp
are.
here. And the feeling of the feeling of all of that. So like, and I love what you said, from mind to heart, dropping and letting our heart be the one that guides us. That's so beautiful.
That's
Thank
the
you.
answer. Thank you.
So Felicia, how was it for you? What was the aha moment for you while we put more light here? How was it for you?
Yeah. So I had two pivotal moments for me, because I feel growing up, I was extremely bullied and I wanted to prove myself and show to the world. And I also have three older brothers, and my dad was very dominant. So I feel like it was very hard for me to get out of and go on my own. But when my dad passed away 6 years ago, that was really hard for me. And I realized, I was like, well, this was his dream for me. Is this really my dream? But I didn't know how to get out of it. I started doing other steps. That's when I met Gabby, of how can I move toward doing something that I want to do? Like, do I need to follow this? And I was still at the very beginning, like, am I allowed to do something else? What are people going to think of me? And it was really hard, and actually took me another 5 years until I had my son to realize, what am I doing? Like, I like looking in the mirror and being like, whose life am I living? Because this is not for me. I'm putting on a show for the world. This is not my life. And I, was trying to be the best wife and the best mom, the best corporate employee, trying to be partner. And I'm like, whose dream is that? It wasn't mine. And I had a breakdown one night, and, I had to get more childcare because I was trying to do everything and be everyone to every person. And I had enough. And I realized that I wanted to live life for myself. I wanted to live life on my terms. And I wanted to be an example, as I said earlier, to my son, to be, you don't have to do what everyone wants you. You can do what you want to do. And really tapping in that and believing in myself and trusting myself. And I still am a lot of head and, thinking and like, what's my next move? And, trying to be strategic. But whenever I get really frustrated or like, what's my next move? I go down to heart and being like, no, what is this emotion teaching me? Like, how do I need to listen to myself? Because for the longest time, there was no emotion. It was there's no crying in baseball. Get back out there. Like, keep going, keep moving, like, fix it. There's no time to be sad, and really sitting with that. So those are the two moments for me. And, it really, I had to be knocked off my feet and to be put in a position to really look at myself. And that's why I help women look at that now, so they don't have to reach these moments where they're at the very bottom to pick themselves back up. Like, let's start working together. Let's form a sisterhood. How can we support each other so we can do it now? Well, we're all in good places of our lives versus, at rock bottom trying to move up.
Oh my God, Felicia, I love this so much. And, like, as you said, like, that life had to put us in our feet. And mine, like when I was 27, that I failed the business and my whole identity was a business. So it's like when that failed, my whole being, everything that I thought I was crumbling together. And which is a perfect segue for the questions that we're going to go now. But, I love so much of what you said, that, and I think it resonates with so many of us women, because we were raised like, I think there's so many types of ways that we were raised. Like, there are women that are naturally more into the feminine, but I feel that, and that's why I wanted to bring the women here, which is like very powerful women that our whole life was do, you don't cry, you don't stop, you don't get depressed, you just go and do like whatever you have to do to put yourself together, right? And back up. And I love what you said, that like we totally numb ourselves. Like, for the longest time, I said that for me, I was lying to, I didn't even know what I was feeling. I if I would ask myself, what am I feeling really? I didn't even know how to identify of this numbness. So beautiful how that journey was for you. And I feel that it's so inspiring how your kid was the one that also brought that up to you and is like I don't want him to leave that.
Yeah. I want him to know, and everyone, that you don't have to just follow this one path. Especially, I think it's really hard for women when you do something for so long, and it's, how do I give that up? How do I give that paycheck up? How do I give this quality of life up? But, you know, maybe you have to take that one step back to go forward, to go all the way that where you're supposed to go. But you have to be, you know, patient and confident and courageous enough, and know that if that's what you really want in your heart, that's what you need to do.
I love that. And this is a perfect place for us to go to another question, because for me it was like, and I call like the spiritual closet, right? I was hiding so much that part of me, right? That it didn't fit on anything that I knew. And like, we was totally hidden for so long, a huge part of me. And I didn't even know like how can I express that? And now how can I talk about like starseed light workers, and, you know, like, and I'm talking about business. But for like maybe 80% of my time was in that world. And I feel that how much we still hide parts of us. And so the next question, which is perfect in this, is what was the most challenging moment in the journey of owning who we are, owning the goddess, owning the divinity, and what helped you through that challenge? So I'm going to, Paula, go back to you again. Like, what was it for you, the most challenging part of this journey?
There were a lot of challenging moments, and I think they all have the common denominator, but I will tell you that it happened possibly less than a month ago. So this is very recent for me, which is when it finally cracked. I had been chipping away at coming from the solar plexus energy, you know, binary competition, me versus others, and just allowing the energy to flow to the heart where there's no competition, there's just cooperation and everything is sacred. And that was mind-blowing for me. And that happened when I understood that my mother is my master, not my father, because I had been in this masculine world. My father had been my hero. And when I decided to move to the United States and be a researcher at the University of Miami, and not a university professor, with everything going for me, with my whole life settled. I had an apartment, I had my salary, I had all my retirement money ready until I died, because that's how it is in Brazil. You have what they call public service stability. It's like a lot of status and a lot of guaranteed money, right? You don't have to strive for your bread and butter every day like an entrepreneur has to do. And my father stopped talking to me when I decided to move. He said, "You're going to be a tiny little researcher and be the nanny of your husband's son." So he didn't even understand the concept of soul children, because the moment you marry someone, if it's not your biological child, it's a child regardless. It's a soul child, right? So I just said, I'm doing this. And my dad didn't speak to me. He only started understanding what was going on. And he I know it was out of love, but it was patriarchal love. And then he came here a year later. It was a very, as I said, a journey of tipping away, but I was still validating him more than anything else, until I understood last month with one of my soul searching sessions, and when my heart cracked open with Rose Medicine and Mother Mary, and allowing the energy to flow up to the heart, really, that my mother is my master. And my mother has no ambition. My mother does not compete. She is a typical suave female caretaker, but her power is who she is. So one of the things that I love about what we're doing here, because it's not just about divine feminine, it's how divine feminine lands on you and how you can be yourself unapologetically without being kind of an archetypal sacred feminine person. You are your individual self, and the feminine supports you so that you can be unique, right? So I am very different from my mom. I'm not a Xerox copy of who she is, but she's my master. And the more I decide to be like her, she will not engage in arguments. She will not put more wood in the fire. Whenever men start getting all worked up, and that was me, because I have a lot of fire element, a lot of impatience, and I get a lot of very fiery. it's best to just decide to go in another route. Just be water. Just be the divine feminine. It's a lot smarter and a lot more powerful than fighting fire with fire. So it was my behavior patterns that's why I truly believe in alchemy, because we can change and we can balance our energy. I was way too masculine, and I have been for years becoming more feminine. And I will say this very vividly. For 11 years, I've been in the divine feminine journey. And last month, something clicked. So to answer your question, that was the moment.
Wow. Yeah, Paula, it's so powerful. Like, and like, just to hear you say you are the embodiment of that. That's like you in your speaking, you are being that right now. And I love that you said, and I feel that sometimes it's trying to get to a place is the masculine, right? And it's not enjoying the journey. And I love, like, I know you are like, for years you have been tapping into and becoming that feminine, and it's beautiful that now you are it's sometimes a moment, and it's a journey. There's no place to get, and it's so beautiful. Thank you. Now, Val, how was it for you? What was the turning point for you? What was the most challenging part for you? Oh, you're muted. Nathan, can you unmute her?
There we go. I think, can you hear me now? Yeah. So I don't think there was a specifically one challenging moment, or that there was one specific turning point. I realize this is a continuous journey, and it goes in cycles. It's you progress, you realize, you have certain realizations, you make progress, you make changes, and you think you overcome something, and then you're right back there, like, or at a different level of it, and you unpeel another layer. And I think what is challenging is the commitment. It's to continue to, once you have that aha moment, once you do get connected, once you do start to feel, it's to commit to continuously get back to that space. And life is going to throw you so many things, whether it's people, whether it's situations, whether it's experiences, but life is going to throw you so many things that are going to make you question whether you're on the right path, and that are going to send you back into logical thinking, into all the old ways. And it's in those moments, it's the challenge is to stay present, to stay in the heart, and to make it so consistent that that's all you end up knowing to do. And so I don't think that there's one specific moment. I think it's an ongoing cycle of getting more and more and more into it. And I think one of the big challenges is staying true to yourself, staying true to your heart, staying true to what you feel inside is right, knowing that a lot of people are not going to agree with you. And you may have people or things that you think are important to you, that at some point you're gonna have to let them go. And it's a natural thing. And but I think, like, it's pushing through that. We have certain attachments to a certain way of life, to things, to the money, to certain people, to ways of being. And it's knowing that, well, some of that might have to go away. And once we make the decision that we're willing to accept that, because we know that being aligned is more important, a lot of it just falls away, but it's not painful anymore.
Oh, I love that, Val. So beautiful, beautifully said. And I'm going to ask the same questions for Felicia and Coralie. And we are like almost at the end of our time. So I want to ask you to be more like to the point. And at the same time, we have another hour together. So if you're watching, we are going to answer all your questions, and we're going to go, like, we're continuing this conversation in the other room. So make sure that you go with us to the breakout room. But Coralie, so what was it for you? What was the most challenging part for you?
That that awakening the goddess inside of us is a journey of awakening, right? Which is not an easy journey at all. We're here to break all the paradigms, to deconstruct fully who we have been thinking we are, to the deepest, and to reconstruct, and to rebirth, and to create, right, the new, which is a very deep journey, all the way. And I think that, you know, we come with a unique mission, all of us on Earth. And we come here, we agree to forget everything when we come to Earth to then be able to remember who we are. Because why are we on Earth? To come back to the center, right? To come back to that essence of who we truly are. And at the center of the 7 petals, right? Like it's like all of our lives and our life experiences is like, oh, okay, I got this. Oh, okay, I understand this now. I got that lesson and that one. So in my journey, what I found my whole life was that I was of service all the time to my family, to my friends, supporting, helping, until I became of service in an, you know, energy healing way and coaching way, and I got to a point of true exhaustion at one point. Even more, actually. The bottom of it was a month and a half ago. Where it was truly, wow, I have learned not to please people anymore and to be me. It was a part of my lesson on Earth. But I am answering that person's agenda and that person's agenda, and everybody has an agenda for me. They want me to be there at that time. They want me to be there at that time and to help them with this and this. And I just got to a point where it was so deep that my physical, mental, spiritual bodies just needed rest. And that got me to a point of freeing myself in the deepest way that I've ever done before, from other people agenda for me, and from what you already mentioned, sisters, to really be owning who I am fully, and my divine power from within, which is, you know, walking open heart and with who I am fully. And yes, it's a journey. It takes some strength of the heart, which is so beautiful, but it has been the most rewarding and the most beautiful gift of my life, from far. So I would say, really, you know, to fully express who we are, as you already mentioned, and to fully be who you are, because we came here for that. And we're all unique. We don't have any path to follow. We are here to create it, and we create it with the universe every second, with every intention, every word, everything that comes out from us, every energy that we emit, we create. Sorry, I was
No, Carly,
longer than I wanted.
It was perfect. Nathan gave us extra 5 minutes, so we're good. Yeah, so beautiful. And I feel that is one of the main things, like one of the challenges is once we go to the feminine is a giver, right? It's nurture. And then is to find that balance of me first, like owning, and it's my agenda on my terms. So Felicia, what was it for you? What was the biggest challenge for you in this journey?
For me, honestly, I know this probably can sound very corny, was loving myself and knowing that I was good enough, because I felt that I was trying to live someone else's life, someone else's dream. And I was trying to put myself and follow this path to partner and this high level in the corporate world. And then when it wasn't my dream, I didn't believe myself that I could do anything else. Like, and what I wanted, I thought wasn't good enough. What are people going to think of me? But really, it was, what do I think of me? I thought of myself as this really small person of like, well, if I don't have the status and I don't have this job and this title, who am I? I'm nobody. But then realizing that that was completely false, and I didn't appreciate, and I honestly, I didn't love myself. And until I started believing in myself, trusting in myself, and loving me for who I am and what I wanted, I think that's when everything changed for me. And honestly, that took me quite a number of years to love myself and to follow my heart and have the confidence to know that it was going to work out, and just go down that path. And I still struggle with it. It's an ongoing thing of like, is this really what I'm supposed to do? And, but trusting myself, like, yes, you can do this. And, I love you and I have your back, just keep doing this for, future Felicia. That's what I always say to myself.
Felicia, like this is so beautiful. And I love like this group of women, like such a beautiful combination. Every single thing that each one said was a crucial part of my journey and a challenge that I had to personally overcome. And definitely self-love was a huge, huge one of that. So girls, we're completing this panel, and we have a whole hour where we will answer all your questions and we will go deeper into everything that we said here. So I would like to personally invite you, if you're watching, to go to the other room with us, where we will continue this beautiful conversation, raw, vulnerable, of our journey to owning the goddess within.
Before you go, Gabby, I should probably spotlight myself, actually. Before you go, what I want to say is we just put in the link, both in the chat and on all the social feeds, the link to the breakout room so you can be with the women. But I also want to invite the men to actually come on camera, because this is part of our vision, is women and men healing each other. And we did this on purpose, that the women would create this space of vulnerability, of peace and possibility. And now we have the men's panel. And it's a game of we're sharing the earth together. And it's just so beautiful that you've opened it up. We have Michael, Thatcher. I just want to say, as a man, I'm just so thankful that there's women like you that are just raising your voices, finding your gifts and your talents, expressing it, and really just having it be a beautiful feminine expression. And I'm sure I speak for all the men here that we're just thankful for women like you.
Thank you, Nathan. And I'm going to speak to the women, for the women, that it's such an honor. And it's so beautiful to see men like you that are owning your masculine, your divine masculine, and also together with us, empowering the divine feminine rising and being this space, and also becoming more, because the feminine and masculine is not like a woman and man. It's like we all have the feminine and the masculine. And to see you, Nathan and Eli, embodying that so beautifully, and I'm pretty certain that the men here in this call too, by you embodying the masculine, we can, you also give the space and the empowerment to us to rise. So thank you so much for that.
Pleasure's all ours. So the link's in the chat. I'm going to stop the broadcast as we take a short intermission for the men. If you're interested in the women's conversation, you can go join them. Eli already has that room open. And thank you for being here.